Christmas morning. The fireplace crackled, the tree lights twinkled, and I watched my husband place a diamond necklace around my sister's neck while I sat there, 7 months pregnant, holding my breath. But what they didn't know was that the real gift that morning wasn't in his hands. It was hidden under the tree, and it would destroy everything they thought they had. I always thought Christmas would feel different once I had a family of my own. I imagined soft music playing in the background, the smell of cinnamon in the air, and the kind of peace that settles over a home when everything feels safe and right. That year, I was 7 months pregnant. Round, glowing, exhausted, and clinging to the belief that maybe, just maybe, this holiday would stitch us back together. My husband, Jason, had been distant lately, but I told myself it was stress. Business deals, baby preparations, pressure from his mother. Evelyn never made things easy. And then there was my sister, Chloe. She'd come to stay with us, to help, though sometimes it felt more like she was filling a role that didn't belong to her. Still, I smiled. I decorated the house. I hung stockings with our names on them. I told myself we were going to be okay. That love was enough. That family meant something. But what I didn't know then, as I carefully wrapped the last gift and slid it under the tree, was that the real celebration that year wouldn't be about togetherness. It would be about finally waking up. Jason wasn't the first man to show me attention, but he was the first to make it feel like a promise. We met at a charity gala, the kind of event I never really felt like I belonged at. He stood out, sharp, confident, charming in a way that didn't feel forced. When he looked at me, it was like he already knew the life we'd have together. He made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years, not growing up, not even with past boyfriends. Within weeks, we were inseparable. Dinners turned into trips. Trips turned into a proposal. It all moved fast. But when something feels like it's rescuing you from the quiet ache of being overlooked your whole life, you don't question it. You hold on. At first, he was everything. Thoughtful, affectionate, generous. His mother, Evelyn, kept her distance during our engagement, but I could feel her scrutiny like a cold breeze at my back. She thought I wasn't refined enough, whatever that meant. Jason brushed her off, told me I was all he needed, and I wanted to believe him. We got married in a small ceremony, beautiful, intimate. But even then, there were signs. Evelyn whispered something in his ear as I walked down the aisle, and he stiffened just for a second. Chloe, my younger sister, was my maid of honor. She wore the dress better than I did. People kept telling me how stunning she looked, how lucky I was to have a sister like her. Chloe had always had that effect. All eyes found her. Even mine. After the wedding, things shifted. Jason didn't turn cruel overnight, but the warmth began to fade. Little things. He started correcting the way I spoke at dinners, rolling his eyes when I'd get emotional, telling me to relax when I needed support. The home we moved into, his home, never really felt like mine. Evelyn visited more often, unannounced, making subtle jabs that Jason never defended me from. He'd just sit there, staring at his phone, nodding along. And then I got pregnant. I thought it might bring us closer, that it would anchor us to something real. Instead, it only made the distance wider and left more room for someone else to step in. Chloe moved in a few weeks before my 3rd trimester began. It was framed as a favor, to help out while I rested since Jason's work kept him so busy. I didn't question it at the time. I was tired, swollen, and desperate for support. Chloe was the golden girl in our family, always had been. She had the smile, the energy, the charm. Wherever she went, people seemed to follow. I never minded it growing up. I was used to being the quiet one in the background. But this time, something felt different. Office. Like I was watching a play I hadn't auditioned for, and everyone else already knew their lines. It started with the laughter. Light, familiar, too frequent. Jason would laugh with her the way he used to laugh with me. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Then came the shared looks across the room, the subtle silences when I entered, the way her robe somehow ended up in our laundry. I asked Jason once, jokingly, why she always seemed to wear his hoodies. He shrugged. She gets cold. Don't be dramatic. Then came the gaslighting. If I asked questions, I was insecure. If I brought up how she lingered near him at dinner, how she monopolized his attention, I was imagining things. Jason's favorite line became, "You're just tired." Pregnancy does that to women. And the way Evelyn began to praise Chloe openly in front of me, how graceful she was, how poised, it wasn't lost on me. Neither was the way she stopped referring to me as her daughter-in-law altogether. I began to notice things missing. A bracelet Jason gave me once, suddenly on Chloe's wrist. A half-finished glass of wine in the kitchen sink, though I hadn't touched a drop in months. I asked Chloe if she'd had anyone over while I was napping. She laughed, flicked her hair, and said, "You should really get more rest." Still, I tried to hold it together. For the baby, for my sanity. I made excuses for Jason, for Chloe, for all of them. But deep down, I knew something sacred had already been broken, silently, carefully, and right under my roof. I just hadn't realized yet how much worse it was going to get. Christmas Eve arrived like a final test. I had poured every ounce of myself into making the house feel warm, festive, and whole, hoping the right kind of joy might pull us back together. I stayed up late the night before, wrapping presents with fingers that ached and ankles that throbbed. The tree sparkled. Candles flickered softly. Everything looked picture perfect, at least on the outside. I even ironed Jason's favorite shirt, the one he wore our first Christmas together. I placed it gently on the bed, hoping he'd notice, hoping it might mean something. He didn't come home that night. He claimed it was a last-minute business dinner, some investor from out of town. Nothing serious. I didn't argue. I just sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the untouched shirt, and tried not to cry because it felt like if I started, I wouldn't be able to stop. Christmas morning, I woke up alone. Jason wasn't in bed. I walked downstairs slowly, holding my belly, half expecting him to leap out and surprise me. But the only surprise waiting was Chloe, already dressed, hair curled, makeup perfect, sipping hot cocoa on the couch beside Evelyn like they were mother and daughter. Jason sat near the fireplace, relaxed, smiling, like everything was fine. Then came the moment I still can't unsee. He stood up, cleared his throat like he was about to give a toast, and handed Chloe a small velvet box. "You've been such a light in our lives this year," he said, and Evelyn actually teared up. Chloe opened it and gasped. A delicate diamond necklace shimmered in the twinkling light. I stood frozen, one hand on my belly, the other clenching so hard my nails left marks. No one looked at me, not even once. I was standing in the middle of my own home, invisible. I whispered, "What is this?" But my voice cracked like glass. Jason turned, eyes cold. "It's a gift. She's been helping you, hasn't she?" Helping me? I wanted to scream. Helping herself to my life, my home, my husband. I looked at Evelyn, smug, satisfied, and Chloe. She didn't even pretend to be embarrassed. She just smiled, tilting her head as if daring me to say something. My stomach twisted. The baby kicked. My chest ached in a way that didn't feel physical. It felt like erasure. I excused myself before I broke in front of them. Upstairs, I sat on the bathroom floor, dress bunched around me, tears running hot and silent. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, but I barely recognized the woman looking back, pale, hollow, defeated. I tried to breathe, but every breath hurt. I had given everything, my heart, my trust, my body, and in return, I was treated like a placeholder, a vessel. I was surrounded by people who took and took, until there was nothing left but the echo of who I used to be. That was the moment. Not loud, not angry, just still. Something inside me collapsed, not from weakness, but from finally understanding the truth. They didn't see me as family. They never had. I was convenience, distraction, decoration. And as I lay there, sobbing quietly with the baby moving inside me, I made a decision. Not just to leave, but to reclaim everything they thought they had taken from me. Because I may have been broken, but I was not done. Not by a long shot. The days that followed Christmas were quiet, eerily so. No apologies, no explanations. Jason acted like everything was normal, like my silence was just another mood swing he could ignore. Chloe floated around the house like she'd already claimed it, humming while she cooked, wearing Jason's sweatshirts like trophies. Evelyn? She just smiled, that cold, self-satisfied smile whenever our eyes met. The message was clear. I had been replaced. Quietly, efficiently, and no one expected me to fight back. But what they didn't know was that something had shifted in me that morning on the bathroom floor. A part of me that had once begged for love, for validation, for belonging, had gone still. Silent. And in that silence, something stronger was born. Not anger, not revenge, not yet. It was clarity. The painful, unflinching kind. The kind that whispers, "This is what they think of you. Now what are you going to do about it?" I started small. I stopped trying. No more cooked meals waiting on the table. No more soft questions or fragile attempts to reconnect. I moved my things into the guest room, claiming space for myself, something I hadn't done since I moved in. Jason didn't ask why. Maybe he was relieved. I began documenting everything. I took photos of Chloe's things scattered in our room. I recorded snippets of conversations that dripped with condescension and entitlement. I dug out the prenup, the one Evelyn insisted on when we got married, and read it line by line. Turns out, I'd had a clause added quietly by my own lawyer. It was meant to protect me if Jason ever cheated. At the time, I thought I was being overly cautious. Now it felt like prophecy. I made a single phone call to my friend Amira, who worked for a top family law firm. She didn't ask questions, just told me to come in quietly, alone. That first meeting felt like breathing fresh air for the first time in months. Someone believed me. Someone saw through the performance of the people I lived with. Together, we crafted a plan. Precise, legal, airtight. Every night, while they slept under the illusion of victory, I prepared. I moved assets, opened accounts, transferred documents. I started seeing a therapist too, someone who helped me name what I'd endured. Emotional neglect, gaslighting, coercive control. Naming it didn't heal me, but it made me furious. Furious for the girl I used to be. The one who thought love meant endurance, that being chosen once meant I had to accept being ignored forever. And then, something beautiful happened. I started talking to my unborn baby. Not just cooing or imagining names, but real, honest conversation. I told them that their mother was finding her voice, that no matter what came next, we were going to be okay. That I wouldn't raise them in a house where love meant control and silence. I promised them, and myself, that we would leave, but not empty-handed. One afternoon, while Jason and Chloe were out, some errand they insisted they had to do together, I went into the attic. I pulled out the old keepsake box Jason's grandmother had given us when we married. Inside, I placed 3 things: a printed copy of the infidelity clause in our prenup, a USB drive with security footage I'd managed to retrieve from the hallway cameras, and a sealed envelope addressed to Jason. Then I wrapped the box in gold paper, tied it with red ribbon, and slid it beneath the tree. I smiled for the first time in weeks, because I wasn't the same woman anymore. I wasn't waiting for love to return. I wasn't waiting for justice. I was creating it, one silent, calculated step at a time. Planning my revenge didn't come from a place of rage. It came from calm, chilling certainty. I wasn't interested in screaming matches or dramatic exits. They thrived on drama, used it as a weapon to make me look unstable. No, I wanted something cleaner, quieter, something that would leave no room for denial, something that would echo. With Amira's help, I gathered everything I needed. First, the documentation, credit card statements showing Jason's lavish spending on errands with Chloe, the purchase receipt for the diamond necklace billed to our joint account, hotel bookings, late-night food deliveries to an address I didn't recognize. Then there were the text messages, vague, flirtatious, but enough to tell a story when laid out in sequence. I had them all printed, dated, organized. I also requested access to the house's full security archive under the pretense of updating our system. What I found chilled me. Moments caught on camera when Jason thought I was asleep or out. Chloe brushing against him in the kitchen, him touching her back as they passed on the stairs. Nothing graphic, but damning enough to expose the lie they'd built together. The prenup clause would do the rest. Jason, ever arrogant, had never reread the document after signing it. But I had. And in black and white it stated that if he was unfaithful during the marriage, especially during a period of medical vulnerability, such as pregnancy, I was entitled to full control of our shared assets. Evelyn had insisted on protecting Jason from me, assuming I'd be the one who'd try to take him for everything. She didn't realize she'd handed me the exact weapon I'd need. I had the documents printed and signed, bank accounts opened in my name only, a lawyer on standby to file everything the moment I gave the signal, a post office box rented under a new address, my hospital bag packed with backup plans for delivery if things escalated, and the final touch, the gift box under the tree. Inside it, I placed the evidence, the legal papers, and a short letter. Since you value diamonds so much, here's one forged in truth. Consider this my Christmas gift to myself. Freedom. I didn't want to destroy him. I wanted him to watch everything he built on lies collapse with the same silence he once used to dismiss me. My revenge wouldn't be loud. It would be surgical. Christmas morning arrived with the kind of quiet that feels staged. The tree sparkled just as it had days before. Chloe twirled in a silky white robe, one of mine, of course, while Evelyn hummed as she arranged presents. Jason sat by the fire, legs crossed, sipping coffee like a man in total control. I sat calmly on the couch, hands folded over my belly, watching the performance unfold. He handed Chloe her gift with a smug little smile. The diamond necklace. She gasped, clutched her chest and kissed him on the cheek as Evelyn dabbed her eyes. It was a twisted scene, almost theatrical. They truly believed I'd just sit there and absorb it. That's when I spoke. "There's one more gift," I said softly. "It's under the tree, the gold box with the red ribbon." Jason looked confused, but he fetched it. He didn't expect much, maybe some sentimental nonsense, something small. I watched as he opened the lid. The moment his eyes landed on the papers, his smile vanished. He kept digging, the photos, the receipts, the prenup clause, the USB. No one spoke. Chloe's face drained of color. Evelyn stood up, her mouth slightly open. Jason looked at me, stunned. "Merry Christmas," I said. "I'm leaving, and I'm taking everything I've earned." And just like that, the illusion shattered. I walked out of that house with my head high and my baby safe inside me. No screaming, no begging, no last-minute apologies, just silence, the kind that weighs heavier than any words ever could. They didn't chase me. They didn't even move. Because they knew. They knew the game was over and I wasn't the pawn anymore. In the days that followed, the legal papers hit like a storm. Assets froze. My lawyer filed everything. The prenup held up like steel. Jason tried calling, of course, left voicemails filled with half-hearted excuses and forced regret. Chloe disappeared off social media. Evelyn, from what I heard, went into damage control mode, trying to preserve the family name. But none of it mattered anymore. Because I wasn't theirs to manage. I was mine again. I started fresh, in a small apartment with sunlight that hit just right in the mornings. I painted the nursery myself, every wall, every corner, and when my baby arrived, I held them close and whispered, "We're safe now." To anyone out there who's been silenced, made to feel small, made to believe love means survival, listen to me. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not alone. Sometimes the most powerful gift you can give yourself is walking away. If this story touched something in you, hit that subscribe button, because here we tell the truth, the kind that hurts, heals, and sets you free.